afternoon and a very warm welcome to Jicho TV Kenya. This is the Marriage Corner Show and I am your host, Viona Gethinji. For today's episode, we are in Thika Runda Estate, and before I get ahead of myself, allow me to introduce our guest today. Karibuni sana.
Asante sana.
Yes, please introduce yourself so that the viewers would know who you are and what you do. Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Waithaka. I'm born again. I'm a student currently at Mount Kenya University. I'm pursuing clinical medicine, and I'm a pastor's wife, and I'm a mother of 4 handsome boys, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Jicho Kenya, for having us. My name is Pastor James Waithaka. I'm a pastor, a practicing theologian, and a business person. We are once again glad for being here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I think we'll dive right into your story, get to know how you guys met, and before we even get to knowing about the 4 handsome boys, at least you can take us through how you met, exactly where you met, and how it was. And I'll actually ask him to take us through the meeting date or the meeting day.
Right. Sasa hii sijui nitaanzia wapi. So we met in the year 2010. Mercy happened to come in a ministry where I was serving. She was just very fresh from college, and she had come for a 1-year internship. And so in the process of her being there, and I was in the organization like 1 year ahead of her. So when she came, that's when that was the first time we made contact with each other. Yes.
So Mercy, where did the love story begin? At least that was general ministry organization stuff. Where did the love story start for you?
Actually, when we met, I wasn't attracted to him actually, but with time we became friends, so I started noticing him. He had also noticed me. So I can't really tell how it began, because it's quite hard to know when you're falling in love. You just find yourself, oh, actually I'm in love. It was something that was gradual. Yeah.
She couldn't resist the man of God.
Yeah. Okay. But you must have gone for a date where he told you his intentions, or, you know, for the journey to start towards marriage, there must have been a date that you went to, or a walk, or whatever. I don't know what to call it. So tell me about that one, Mercy.
But you see, our case was really interesting because when Mercy came to the organization, she was actually in a relationship. Is that not the case?
Yeah.
She was in a very good relationship that was supposed to head to marriage. And I would not have gone to her immediately and told her, you know, I'm eyeing you or something like that. But our journey was unique in this sense, that her being in a relationship, you know, I knew that, of course, you know, if somebody is in a relationship, and of course there are these Christian ethics, you do not want just to jump in to go and like try to break so that you can gain. But it was something very interesting because I had a very strong impression the first day that I saw her, that this is the person I should spend the rest of my life with. But now the problem was that she's already seeing somebody else and they're actually planning something. So actually what I did, I went back now being the MOG, the man of God. When the Lord ministered to me that Mercy should be my wife, I decided that I won't tell her. And I referred to a case in the Gospels where you see the case of Joseph and Mary. That when God wanted to work out something with them, he never spoke to one person and left the other. So I made a very honest and simple and sincere prayer to God, and I told God, if you're really into this thing in having me and Mercy become an item for the rest of our lives, You spoke to Joseph and you spoke to Mary. Individually, there was no confusion. You've ministered to my heart. I won't tell her anything until you first work out things in her heart. And that is when God started to work out something in her heart, that's when our friendship started like now to develop. And then one day, we were supposed to go for a high school mission somewhere. And if there's another date I can't remember, but I think that's where everything started, because that's when I told her what the Lord had laid into my heart. And this was months after the Lord had already spoken to me. That is when I asked her whether she was still in the other relationship, because there was something I was feeling inside me. And the rest was history.
And Mercy, you've been dating, you're headed to marriage, and this guy is around. You're friends, you're working together.
Yeah.
You're ministering together, actually.
Yeah.
So when he comes to you during this mission, how is your heart at that time? Are you also ready? Do you also want to tell him? Has the Lord ministered to you? How is it for you at that time?
Actually, I told him the way the Lord has been ministering to me, and he laughed. So I didn't know why he was laughing. So actually, you know, the way you go and tell, you're opening up to someone, you're telling him what the Lord has been ministering to him, you're expecting a rebuke. Then he tells me, the Lord has also been ministering to him like that. And at that time, I had not broken up with this other guy. So when the Lord was ministering to me, it is time to break up with that guy. And it was very difficult. We were in very good terms. How do you just go and tell somebody it is time to let go? So it was difficult, but I told him to also take time and pray, and the Lord also ministered to him, and it was easy for the three of us.
Oh.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the things I can commend Mercy is that she was able to handle that, to break up the other relationship in a very mature way, because our God is not a God who is into hurting people. God will not come to hurt you so that he can make me happy.
Yeah.
But there's also, you call his sovereign will. There is something that he had. Maybe there is a specific reason as to why God had allowed Mercy to be in that particular relationship. So she was able to handle the relationship in a very mature way and to end it officially in a way that was honorable, so that neither her or even the other guy was left hurting. And she can also testify that I never rushed her into things. I allowed nature just to take its course, allowing her, this is somebody that she used to love. I would allow her to cry about it. I allowed her to go and break the relationship officially. I, in fact, would say that I walked with her the journey of breaking off, and then I gave her some time to heal, so that we could now officially start a relationship.
I want to draw a little bit from that part where you're saying you walked with her through her breakup.
Right.
What was that like for you as a man? As in, really,
Right.
she's crying over someone else, and you're there, and what was that like?
No, actually, when somebody is going through a breakup, there are a lot of emotional ties, and whatever a person needs at that particular time is a lot of emotional support. So I would call her, I will take her out on a date, and I will just let her pour out whatever it is that she's feeling for the other guy, and she will tell me how much they had invested in each other in terms of time, and I thank God that even during the entire journey that they had walked a journey of purity, because it was very key for us to walk in purity. So when I mean being there for her it was nothing like physical, it's emotional support, where I would pray for her, just take time to listen to her, because during that period she used to cry a lot. She used to cry. At times she would just change her mood, and it meant that I had to be very understanding, just to note when probably she's really like missing the other guy. until the time she told me, like after a few months, she told me, now I think I'm ready. We can move on.
Eish, Mercy. What is that like? I won't even pretend I understand what that is like. You have two men. One here, you've already planned future. You can see Canaan. You know, you can see your life with him. And then there's this man of God that is here, and yeah, the Lord has told you it is him, and he has confirmed he's also okay with it. But now you have to break up. And you go through the turmoils of life. I can only imagine what that is like. So what does a girl feel like in such a situation? I get the sad part. But how does the girl in you feel when there are these two men who are interested in you? What is that like?
Okay, definitely when you find it that way, inside you, you're like, so I'm very important. But again, it is very difficult. You don't want to hurt either of them. And here you are, you cannot have both of them. You have to have one. It is also difficult. Yeah.
What would make you cry? Like, really? Why were you crying? For me, I think that's a joyous moment. Why were you crying?
I was crying because I really loved this guy. Deep down within me, I loved him. We were in very good terms. Our relationship was the perfect one.
Sorry, sir.
we did not have issues in our relationship, actually. We were flowing very well. We were good friends. So it wasn't easy to let go. You're not in any bad terms with someone, and God is telling you it is time to let go. How do you let go? Something that you've held so dearly. It was very difficult. So I cried. He used to make fun that I used to cry until all the makeup is out. I wash it all out with tears.
That's actually how I burnt makeup in this marriage.
Okay. All right, sawa. So you've accepted and you guys start now working on your relationship. Is this still in 2010 or now we are into 2011?
We are now, of course, in 2011.
So you start planning for the wedding immediately, or you continue the friendship? How was that?
Actually, we continued dating 1 year without anyone getting to know about it.
Okay.
1 year, it was just chini ya maji. Hakuna mtu alijua. But we went and confided to one pastor, a pastor from our church. He's the only one who knew. But the rest,
So when do you start planning now for where we are today?
2012.
So we started to plan in, you see, we met in 2010. She's going through all that. The whole, the better part of 2011 was just basically friendship. And as she has said, we had one of the pastors in church who was working together with us. One of the things that we made very clear was that during this time of our friendship, neither was she supposed to come into my house, and neither was I supposed to go into her house. We were basically meeting out in the open, probably in our church, or probably in a hotel somewhere, because the aspect of purity was very important for us. So the whole 2011 was just about friendship, getting to know each other, helping her overcome some of those challenges that she was going through. Until around maybe Feb 2011, that is when we now started to plan our wedding, because our wedding was later to happen that year, 2012 December. Right.
So Madame, now you're preparing to become a bride. From experience, from how I've seen life take us through, girls and wedding day, men, we all look forward to this day.
Sure.
Or else most of us.
Sure.
So how is it for you now? You've accepted, you're here, you're settled, this is it, this is the man.
Yeah.
Now you're planning towards marriage. What was that like for you? Was it exciting? Was it scary? Were you ready for this to start with?
It was mixed feeling. I was very excited. At the same time, I was very scared. This is somebody who is not your brother, he's not your father, he's not your cousin. He's just somebody you've known in your adulthood. and you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So that, when I thought about that, I was very scared. I didn't know what to expect. At the same time, I was happy. I was going to become a wife. I was happy. So it was 50-50.
A wife and a mother.
Yeah, a wife and a mother.
Were you looking forward to the mother, but bit too?
Exactly. I was looking forward to having very beautiful girls, but I got boys, but I'm grateful.
We will come to that in a few. So what was the highlight of the big day, the wedding day? What was the highlight for you? What is that one thing that you still remember to date that took like most of your attention?
What I remember to date, I liked the way my girls were. They were looking very beautiful. And again, if I remember the number of people who came, I just feel overwhelmed. The way watu walijitolea, you know, the love they showed us that day, it was very amazing. I didn't expect to see such a large group of people. And to me, that was the highlight. People came from all over, from Eldoret, a whole bus from Western, from Gatanga, very many people from Thika, from Nairobi. People came from all over.
And where was this wedding?
Here in Thika, in Makongeni. Yeah. CCIT, it is called Christian Church International Thika, the main branch, our main branch. Yeah.
Okay. Right. And for you, James, what was the highlight for you during the big day?
Well, I could maybe mention a couple of issues. During our wedding, we had a great worship session. And to me, I was just glad that finally the day was here. Like, this is a day I had envisioned and was praying for. And finally I had seen the faithfulness of God.
Sure.
So just seeing that day in itself, that really meant a lot. In fact, that is one of the days that I really, really cried. Not because I was angry, but you know, those tears of joy and tears of thanksgiving. They are tears that only God can understand. You should be there rejoicing and jumping out. And you're here crying and just telling God, thank you for this.
Yeah.
So another thing is that we had a lot of support from family. Our family members really supported us. And I remember there are words that my mom told me during that day, that she told me, my mom calls me Jim, so she told me, thank you, Jim, for honoring God and for honoring us. Those words really meant a lot. That finally I had walked through the journey of a young man successfully. And first of all, I had honored God, and then I had honored them as our parents. And then, of course, finally, after we had done the vows, the reception, the highlight was that, you know, you've been asking God for a wife. And here she is, and you're going to honeymoon. You've been waiting for all these ideas, and you're going to honeymoon, and you're like, brother, today even the heaven is waiting for you to manifest. So I was really, really excited that finally I will get an opportunity to spend life with my best friend.
Wow, I like that. That's beautiful. All right, so the wedding happens and you guys are off to honeymoon and back. Now life starts. They say marriage is nothing close to the wedding day. The wedding day is a party. So we come to life and you guys are back from honeymoon. Do you start making the babies there and then?
No.
Take a chill pill. How was that?
It was tough. Tough because, you know, we are of different personalities. He's outgoing and reserved. So we had issues. We had our own challenges. He couldn't understand me, I couldn't understand him. So it was very difficult. Very difficult.
Kindly cite at least an example of one of those difficult moments.
The one I remember, okay, it was very, I don't know what the issue was, but I remember we had issues to the point of we didn't even want to see each other. And we were invited to our aunt. And we went. So when we were at the gate, I remember he told me, na ukumbuke tuongeleshani. We went to our auntie's place, we were happy, we were laughing, I was serving him. Then when we were coming back, he told me, kumbuke tuongeleshani. So we just laughed and the issues ended there. But we had issues with personality.
Right.
Whenever I could, and expectations. Whenever I could tell him maybe you should be doing this, he gets furious. You want me to be like a lady. I tell him there is a bin for, not a bin, but a bucket for putting dirty clothes. You find them down there. I tell him that is an issue. You want me to become like a lady. But I'm telling you, that is just something small. You should put it there. And we had issues with personality. You know, like sanguines, they're not very organized. And for me, being a melancholy, I want things to be like this, in order.
Mbuka mimi pastor bwana.
Hi,
I'm a pastor bwana.
So issues were basically about personality and expectations. He expected me when he comes from work, I'm there to wash his hands, and there is the sink there. So I used to tell him, just go and wash your hands there. And he was furious because he expected me to be washing his hands every day.
Unaona ufanye kazi gani?
La la la. Okay, Pastor James.
Yes.
How was that for you with
Man
your
of God.
man of God expectations, Nazo? Tell us about those ones.
Wacha nikuambie. Sisi kama hatukuachana mwaka yetu ya kwanza, sioni by the grace of God kitu ambacho kinaweza fanya tuachane miaka zingine. Because the first year the landing was not really, it was not the best year for us. And as my wife has said, those issues to do with personalities and expectations, they really took a toll on our relationship. And also some bits of like, you know, those cultural differences, because we are not from the same cultures. Mercy is from Western and I am from Central. So we really disagreed on many issues. Many of them. And they were not like, you know, at major issues, very minor issues, but they would like really escalate to a level whereby, you know, we will not be talking to each other for days. And I thank God that with time we got to understand each other and we grew. This was also a time for us to grow spiritually, because I actually learned from that year that the purpose of marriage, in my own opinion, it could be that God made marriage to make us holy rather than happy. Because, you see, for a married man, God treats your prayers the way you treat your wife. The scriptures are very clear. Peter is writing to the church and he's telling them, treat your wives the best way possible, lest your prayers are going to be hindered. So I had really to teach myself how to forgive. I also learned that during that year that it is not always possible to have your way, and also to be able to receive correction. You know, you are a minister, and there are times you will be told no, and you have to receive no as an answer. I think I came into this with very high expectations. Like she has said, you know, I expected there are those things that every man dreams, that, you know, in your dreams, that your wife is going to do that for you. Like when you come, you know, we see in the movies when the husband is getting to the house, and the wife takes off the coat, you know, they hug you, they tell you that, you know, how was your day, they wash your hands, and then food is ready. But I can tell every young person who is not married, who is watching us there, those things are better done in movies rather than reality. Because I had those very high expectations, and unfortunately, on most of them I was disappointed. So when I came to a level of understanding that I will not always have it my way, and actually when somebody wrongs me, I should be the one to be in the forefront as a minister, to forgive and to move on. That really came in as some sort of help. But there were also very good moments for us, because I remember there were times that we used to sit down and, you know, sometimes just talk for hours, those pillow talks.
Yeah.
To a level that I even, and then, you know, my wife is a very good cook, so having been introduced to somebody who cooks very well, and I also love how to eat, I really eat. So during the first a few 3-4 months, I had added a lot of weight.
How many?
So that is a plus. I was about 60, but in about 3-4 months, I was about 70 or 70 point something.
Whoa.
10 kilos in 3 months.
Whoa.
So that was also something very positive. Now, am I the elephant in the room or you are the elephant?
Oh,
in the
Lord.
You are. You are.
room? No,
No, you are.
I'm only 82.
No, you're 84.
Tunataka tupime? Uko na ngapi?
80.
So who is the elephant in the room? So from 60 to 82 kgs, I mean.
All right. You did find a good thing, as the scripture said then,
telling
eh?
you, mimi hiyo maandiko ni mimi niliandikiwa. So if we really manage that year kuweza kunavigate hizo challenges, we believe there is nothing that we cannot be able to solve. And what was really interesting is that in all those challenges, there was no particular time that we ever brought a third party. We used to sit and agree to disagree. And we thank God that finally, as a result of agreeing the word of God to mold us, we were able to shape some of those rough edges and be able to tolerate one another. And in fact, I believe from there, we have never ever had many more issues. We have enjoyed our journey moving forward.
Beautiful. At this point, I want us to take a very short break. And when we come back, we will address more of those challenges and also the beautiful moments that this couple has gone through. All right, and welcome back, viewers. I am with Pastor James Waithaka and his first lady, Mercy Waithaka. And from what we learned, they had quite the first year. And I want us to go back to a little bit of that before we digress. And Mercy, for you, at that time, what was that one thing that was really, I would ask, irritating about this first year, that he can confidently say that if it didn't break up, then he can't say anything else? So what was that one thing for you that, man, was quite tricky?
I remember there are times I could come, I'm from work, I come and prepare food. Then when I serve him, he does not eat. He goes to the fridge, he takes some milk and bread, and he goes to bed. At times he would eat the food and he would not finish. He would just taste a little bit and leave it there. Then he sleeps on the couch. At times I could go, I get my blanket, I come and sleep there. And I tell him, you've decided today we are sleeping here, I'm here with you.
What?
So those two things could really irritate me. I sacrifice a lot, I prepare food, I'm tired. If I knew he was not going to eat, I could not bother to cook. But I cook, he doesn't eat. It was very irritating. Yeah.
Why was it like that for you, James? Why, as in of all things, why not eat? Why not sleep in your own bed? What was that?
First of all, from where I come from, you don't argue with your husband. So mtu wabishanangi na bwana yake. So I think for me, you know, to me food speaks volumes. Like I said, I had put on a lot of weight because I actually enjoyed her food. So in one way, my refusing to eat her food was to punish her, because the only way that I felt that I would really get to her and hurt her was never ever to because for the whole year that was very rough, we've never fought with each other or gotten physical. But I knew there are things that would hurt her more than even getting physical, because I knew she really values when somebody loves her food. That one I knew. So I used something that she loved and I denied it. It was a way of just getting back to her. And I would also say that if I now look back at the almost 10 years, I would say that it was a little bit childish for me. Me, pastor. It was a bit childish. That is not something that today I'll do. In fact, today, if she was to cook and I failed to eat, I think she would really laugh at me because she will not like cry. So I did it as a way of trying to punish her because of probably a misunderstanding that we had.
Right.
Sort of, yeah. Call it pride, call it childishness, I agree. Anything you call it, I agree.
All right. So we are past the first year. You guys have made it. I hope you took yourselves out just as a reward for, hey, kama tumepita hapo, we are doing well. Did you at some point realize, na huu utoto tumeacha? Did it ever get to that point where you realized, na by the tuliacha utoto? When was that?
I think during our second year moving ahead, I got to a level and I said, you know, I never got married to my friend to punish her. In fact, being best of friends, I could really feel bad when we are not talking to each other, because there is something that you feel, if you can be really honest with yourself, there is something that you feel in your heart when you're not talking to your husband or your wife. So I got to a level and I said, why can't I try moving forward, do this relationship the way God intended? Because the intention of God was not for Adam and Eve to have a very rough time. He wanted these people to learn more about Him and also to enjoy, to fill the earth and to multiply. So I got to a level and I said, why don't I initiate? Because, like, you know, most of the times when we had a misunderstanding, she was the one who could initiate, like, the reconciliation. So I said, moving forward, why don't I be the one? Anytime we have a misunderstanding, I chose to be the one, like, who will be initiating the reconciliation. And once I did that and took my role as a leader, decided to become a priest in that home, things took a very different turn. In fact, I realized that when you are in a marriage relationship as a man and you decide to humble yourself, your wife will humble yourself more. You will not need to struggle in her submitting to you and getting to a place of humility. If you, like, really decide to humble yourself, she will humble herself 10 times more than you. So we'll get to levels and say that at times probably I could do something wrong to her, and decide that I will just go and ask, you know, if she can forgive me. And when I took just that little step of asking her, you know, I just tell her, dear, on this point I was wrong. That admission that you were wrong. Unajua saa ingine na wake pia mnatakaga tu mahali ukubali kwanza uone makosa, wewe ndio uko na makosa. When I would just admit that I was wrong and I tell her, I was wrong, I'm sorry, please forgive me, that will just work magic.
Surely, people. You guys are man of God, na lady of God. Mlikuwa mna fight over what now? Really? Like, what were your issues, honestly? What was that, Mercy? Ni issue gani hii inafanya mpaka mzee hata kula na talala kwa kiti? What was that?
It could be something very minor.
Very minor.
Very minor issues.
Very minor issues.
We never had any major issues.
Hakuna kitu ati sijui kama infidelity. Ni kitu kidogo. Like, for example, we'll be probably seated and are just watching or listening to something. And maybe unconsciously I'm chewing food in a way that she doesn't like. Yani natafuna chakula na njia ambayo labda hapendi. Alafu anani correct. Ananiambia, that's not the way people chew food. So I will ask her, so you're telling that's not the way people chew food? So first of all, you see, actually our people don't know how to chew food. Unaona? does it mean that now I'm chewing like a cow? So I'm a cow myself. Yani kitu kidogo ingekuwa magnified. And then probably we came to learn that maybe as she will give me the correction, maybe her tone will not be the right tone that you're using to correct somebody. So how we address that issue, we said, we came up with a code word, our own code word, so that today, if I'll be chewing food in a way that she doesn't like, she won't like tell me, she would mention that thing, and I would understand that there is something wrong I'm doing, and she doesn't like it. So some of those small things were like when she would correct me on an issue, that one would really have us get to have a big quarrel. Now on my part, there are things that she also used to do that I actually also did not like. For example, you know, we would agree that on a certain day, there are probably people she will go to visit, her friends. And we will agree that because of her security, I will tell her, if you may be at home by 6 or 6:30 around there, I would really appreciate it. It will mean a lot for me. So it gets to 8:30, she's not yet back. And I would really feel bad, because that one would make me question if she really respects my authority as a husband. Because by that particular time, we never had children. So, and then when she comes, she will come with this very long story. You know, ladies have stories. That, you know, I left early, and then there was this conductor. And those stories will not mean anything to me. What I'll see is that I told you to come back probably at 6:30, or latest by 7. It is almost 9. You're not here. So I will interpret it. You want me to come back home early because now I'm the wife. So I will ask her, who is married to who? Are you the one who is married to me? Or am I the one who is married to you? So such small issues will bring a lot of misunderstandings. And how we were able to navigate that particular challenge, we decided that if she's going somewhere, and you know, we set like curfew times for each other. And my curfew time was 9 p.m. and her curfew time was 7 p.m. And we decided, until it is curfew time for the other person, never ask where they are. But if it gets to their curfew time and they are not yet home, they have the responsibility of communicating and telling you, I will not be home by my curfew time because I have such and such a challenge. And that has worked for us.
Oh, I love that. I love. So you guys, hata hii curfew ya Kenya, please, you're used to these things.
Hiyo tulizoea, lakini sasa shida ni ati mimi ndio ziwekangi yangu.
Man, sawa tu.
Anamwambia asibishane na mimi ni pastor.
Ni pastor. Na man of the house.
Man of the house. Anakubali kwa sababu at times I try when I can, I go home early, but because of many challenges at times, and because of sometimes the nature of the ministry or even business, kuna masaa unaweza kuitwa na customer na hauwezi kumwambia kwamba probably a client anataka kuonana na wewe na labda anatokea job late, so you have to meet at around 8:30. So unakuta labda saa nyingine 9 inakutana na wewe ukiwa mahali pale nje. And I thank God that she understands. It's not like malicious that I have to get late. When I'm late, I just communicate to her that I will not come on time, and she doesn't have a problem with that.
All right. Now, I'm very curious. We have handled those challenges, and yes, they were minute. From what I'm hearing, those were not big issues. I want to know more about these 4 handsome boys. I've been waiting this whole time just to hear about the 4 boys. How has that journey been for you, Mercy? Of course, now as a mother. How was that for you?
The journey was very tough. Before I got my first son, I actually lost 5 pregnancies. I couldn't carry a pregnancy beyond 6 weeks, actually. I couldn't carry beyond that. And I tried, I went to several doctors here in Thika, in Nairobi. I was on medication, but nothing worked. So I remember one day I had a dream. And in the dream, I saw my dad coming. And he came all the way from Eldoret and told us, God has sent me to come and pray and break the curse. And actually it happened. He came all the way from Eldoret. He came, he prayed. He said, I've come to pray the blessings of a father and to break any curse that could have been sent by whoever, I don't know who. And that is what he did. And after that, I was able to conceive. And I remember when it was 6 weeks, I was like, I don't know if it will come out or I don't know. But I saw 6 weeks is over, 8, 10. Finally, we went to 38. 38 weeks, and our son was born in 2015. And after that, I conceived again. I had a very smooth pregnancy. And when the pregnancy was 28 weeks, there was a time I was coming from work. And when I was on the vehicle, I could hear the baby turn so fast. And after that, I started feeling some pain. A week later, I spotted just a little bit. I was told to go to the hospital by a certain doctor. I called her. She told me to go to the hospital. I decided to go actually the following morning. That very night, it was on a Monday evening, the labor pains began, and I had to rush to the hospital at night. I remember I was preparing dinner. We had a visitor. I was preparing dinner. I could cut the onions, I sit down. I cut one tomato, I sit down. So I told them, I was very calm. I waited for them to eat, and I told them, it is time to go to the hospital tonight. And I was admitted with preterm labor. But I thank God it was, the doctors were able to manage. But I stayed in the hospital for 51 days, and they were able to manage on and off, on and off. Finally, when they could not manage completely, at 35 weeks and 5 days, our second boy was born. After that, I conceived again. And this time round, I said, I'm normally told when I conceive like this, I go for clinic. I decided not to do that. I waited a little bit longer to around 10 weeks. And I remember when I went, the doctor was really mad. I'm starting clinic at the 10th week. He was really mad. He really quarreled. And I was just calm. After that, going for a scan, shock on me. They were 2. I couldn't believe it. For 3 good hours, I was shaking completely. So after that, the following clinic, which was 19 weeks, I was told to go for a scan. And I was told my cervix was already dilating. I was 19 weeks at that point. Oh, before that, I was admitted. At 14 weeks, I was admitted because I couldn't retain anything. I take anything, I couldn't retain it. So I was dehydrated, I was admitted. A month later, my cervix is dilating. I was admitted to go for a cervical stitch, McDonald's stitch. You know, they normally put it before 16 weeks, but I was told they would just risk and put it. So they did it. I went for a minor surgery. It was inserted. So with the twins, I was in and out of hospital I was admitted for 9 times. I was admitted in and out of hospital. Finally, the doctors told me, the way they are seeing this pregnancy, they have to rush me to Kenyatta. Because at least in Kenyatta, they have a good NBU. The babies can be managed from Kenyatta. Yeah, I thought about it and I said, Kenyatta, no. I called my doctor, nikamuuliza, can I go to Moi referral? Because I know Moi referral is equally good. He told me, if you have to go to Moi referral, 2 options. We either airlift you or you go via ambulance. So we were told for me to board an ambulance, it will cost 20,000. And a plane is just 8,000. And the hours are fewer. I told him, okay, you write for me a letter, I will go via plane. So that is how I went to my referral at, was it 27? At 27 weeks, I was at my referral, in and out of hospital until 33 weeks. So by the time I got to 33 weeks, my pressure was up. Ilikuwa imepanda kabisa. So at that point, I was told by the doctor, right now it is either we save you or the children. So he told me, I know I've admitted you several times. This time, I'm going to admit you again. And this time round, tutatoa watoto. And God is good. I was told when the children were born, they had to be resuscitated. Meaning if we could stay for another like 1 hour or another few minutes, they could be gone. Because pressure ilikuwa inawamaliza. In fact, they were very tiny. They were about a kg and a few grams. But it was a tough journey. It was very tough. Because I remember at that point, when I could pray, nilikuwa ninaona tu coffin. I could see death all over. I could see. And I remember, just to take you back again, before I got my first baby, God had showed me the first pregnancy will be quite smooth. The second one will be quite difficult. And the third one will be the worst. And I will get to the point of almost dying. And I remember before I conceived, I prayed. I told God, me, I'm not ready to die. And I want another child. But if you assure me that no matter how difficult it will be, that I will not die, I will conceive. If not, I will not. And God assured me that
How?
It is well.
I want to know the how part. How did he do that?
You know, if you have a relationship with God, you will know how God speaks to you.
Sure.
And when he speaks, you'll be sure this is God, and I'm not telling myself. So when he spoke to my heart, not even once, several times, and I was sure I was not going to die, I told my husband, now I'm ready, I can have another child. I know it will be difficult. I know it will be difficult, but I know I will not die. So even when I was seeing the coffin and all that, I reminded God, you told me I will not die, and I'm not going to die. In fact, the doctors were worried. I remember when I was admitted, you know, in a big hospital, when you're going for cesarean section, there are normally people who have been booked. The earlier you come, maybe when you booked the first one, you'll be going to the theater, the first person. So I arrived past midnight. The following morning, that morning actually, when the doctor came, he was going through the files and he looked at my file. And he asked me, am I the one who discharged you last time? I told him yes. That was a very big mistake. Ukufaa kuenda, ulifaa kukaa hapo hospitali until delivery. So he told me, I've looked at all the cases. I know there are people who have serious cases. But for you, you're going to be the first person. So nikaambiwa niende. And in fact, there is an injection I had been given for blood thinning the blood before you go for cesarean so that you don't get blood clots after. And when you're given that injection, you're supposed to stay for 24 hours before the operation is done.
Okay.
For 24 hours. So mine had not even completed 12 hours.
Okay.
But he told me, I know it is very risky, but you have to go as the first person to the theater. What we will do, as you're in the theater, we will send the nurse to go and get blood for you. And that is what happened. So when I woke up, I had already the transfusion was already done. I'm told the bleeding was quite a lot because of that injection. But I thank God, here we are. The boys are big. We thank God. It was not easy. It was very difficult. But we thank God.
Oh my
We overcame.
Word. Oh my word. To be honest, I have goosebumps. Okay, thank God you are believers, you had faith. But I cannot imagine a layman, let me call it layman, going through that. You can see the coffin, you already know you're going to have stress. You conceive, the stress comes in, the children are, and you have to choose between saving yourself or the babies.
Yeah.
That cannot have been easy. So that is mommy going through that. And I'm a mother myself, so there's that joy and beauty and strength that comes with motherhood.
Yeah.
How is daddy through the 4, okay, not even 4. How many babies had you lost before?
5.
Okay. How is Daddy throughout all this? The losses plus these other pregnancies. How is your heart, your mind, yourself? How are you at that time?
Now, for me, especially during the time of losing those 5 pregnancies, I would say that I had a rough time, because once you go to an altar and you make a vow, according to the word of God, you have to stick by it. So we had already vowed to God that in good times and in bad times, we shall always be together. So the year 2014 was very rough for us, because at one point I had to almost do everything. She couldn't clean, she couldn't cook, because of what she was going through. So I had to do all that. And I had to really like swallow my pride and decide that, this is my time to be there for my best friend. One of the things that I assured her during that time is that no matter what we go through, is that I'll always be there for her. So even through that cleaning and washing, there were actually some neighbors who thought that maybe she has gone to Kitui and gotten some juju. Because we were living in an estate that was developing. So there would be like fundis who were building around, and they would see me wash her clothes, and they would say, whatever this man was given, we are not sure if he's going to survive. But I had purpose, that this is a journey that we purpose to walk together. And I empathized with her. I tried to put myself in her shoes and said, suppose I was the one who was sick, would I want my wife to treat me in a way that I was not comfortable? So I decided to support her physically, not just with words, but also with a lot of actions. And at that particular time, the word of God was really a strong refuge for us. Because if you look at John 3, 1 John 3:18, the Bible says that, dear children, do not just love in words or in tongue, but in actions and in truth. So I said, I will not just be telling my wife with words that I just love her. I have to live that truth and show that with actions. So it was also a training ground for me as a minister, because you find today we have many people who are reading because of books that they have read. You read a story of a person and you want to use it as an example, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it is always better if God has taken you through something, you preach with a lot of understanding. You are able to put yourself in somebody's shoes. Today when we go to encourage couples who have no children, we have a starting place. And I believe God was very right when he said in 2 Corinthians, should be chapter 1, verse number 4, that it is God who comforts us when we are going through struggles and challenges, so that we can use the same comfort to encourage others who go through the same. So it was a training ground for us. Though it was very tough on us, I would say that God carried us through. And then, of course, at one particular time, trials will always come to an end. In fact, they say, or I read a book that said, that when your life is going through very many storms, calm yourself, because the storm will pass. So when we remained calm under the cover and under the refuge of God, the storms came to an end. So we got our first son, and actually I thank God for our parents, because they decided not to name our children after anybody, because they say these children are miracles. We are going to give them names that are not after anybody. These children belong to God. So the first one came, the second one, and of course the highlight, the twins, the double blessing. And to us, they were like a real testimony that God can really restore. We lost 5, but now God has blessed us with 4, and we are really, really grateful to them. And I would maybe at this particular point want to say that when you're going through these challenges, there are sometimes you ask yourself very many questions. At times my wife would ask me, does this faith really work? Because like one of the pregnancies, she miscarried when I was just 3 days from the mountain, the so-called mountain, Mulima. I had gone for fasting for 3 days, you know, declaring great things that, you know, this one is not going to get out. And from it I learned that no matter how hard you pray, it's always good to surrender yourself to the will of God, where Jesus taught and said that after you have prayed, ask him, not your will, but my will be done. And from that we learned as a family that God does not answer prayers because of who we are. He answers because of who he is. You can pray so hard, but if you're humble enough, you will ask him to allow his will to be done. So it was a time for us to surrender ourselves to the will of God, to allow him to do whatever seemed best for us. And through it all, we learned that God is not a malicious God. He's always good, and he will never waste pain. That is something that I came up from that training ground. I came out with that lesson. Our God is not malicious. God does not waste pain. Even if it's very painful and you cannot understand, just get to know and to realize that he will not waste that pain. There is somebody who will be using whatever case you went through as a survival guide for them to help them through in life. So we really learned. It was also a time for us to grow our friendship. This was now where our vows were being tested. And we also got to understood that anyone who goes to an altar to make vows, there is always a stage in marriage where your vows will be tested. That is where you have to prove yourself that when your vows are tested, are they going to stand? Because it is very easy for you to promise somebody because you are excited that, you know, I will live with you forever. Yeah. But when that vow will be tested, the question is, will it stand the test? So I thank God that when we were tested, he gave us his grace, he gave us his power, his ability, his strength, and we were able to come out of that trial strong. And actually, I would say that here we are better, and we can't wait to see what God has in store for us.
Your vows will be tested.
Yes.
Wow, okay. I think that will stay with me for quite a while. Mercy, on a very light note, are you going back to maybe get the fifth one?
I'm okay.
You seem to be okay alone, but anyway, that is up to you, and I'm grateful.
We are at a level whereby whatever she decides, I mean, we're good to go. But I think I'm also comfortable with 4. We thank God, because we want to give them the best that God has for them.
Before I forget, what are their names? As he said, these are miracle babies, so I don't expect Kamau Njuguna, and I have nothing against Kamau Njuguna. But what are their names?
All of them are JMs.
Okay.
From James and Mercy.
So
we have Jehiel Victoria.
Okay.
Jemiel Mshindi.
Okay.
Jeriel Munene. And Jediel Mukeni.
Oh Lord! Wow. JM from as in you guys are JM, then your children are JM. Okay, that's beautiful.
Couple goals.
Couple goals, guys. Couple goals, eh? Hi, sawa. All right, you guys, as we are coming to the end of our show, I wish we could do this a little longer, but we're coming to the end, and this time that you guys are going through the challenges, are you a pastor by then?
I was actually, you know, for our church, I was an elder, though I was still acting in the pastoral capacity. But the title pastor had not really come, but I was still doing the pastoral duties.
You became a pastor when you were expecting a second child?
Right, that's when the title like really came. Because what happens in our church is that you could be doing pastoral work, but there will be now like the official recognition of what God has put in you. So at that particular time, the title I held was an elder And an elder is also mostly just like a pastor, somebody who's doing pastoral duties. And I was also the youth leader of the youth chairman.
Aha. And now you are Pastor James Waithaka.
The man of God.
Man of God. Aya, sawa. Mercy, what is it like to be a first lady?
No.
Is it as glamorous as we think out here?
No, it's not.
Okay, why not?
Okay, like for me, no, I'm a reserved person. I don't like frontline ministry. So for me, it's a challenge because you find there are people who expect you to be up here all the time. Every Sunday you're saying something. You're praying for the man of God. For me, I'd rather be at the back, and I'm very comfortable. So that is, I think that has been my major challenge. And again, being a pastor's wife, at times my husband can tell me, I'm coming with a visitor. At that time, I've just completed preparing dinner. And maybe I'd not prepared enough for an extra person. So they will come and we will share whatever is there. So it has been a challenge, but I've learned to live with it. Having visitors, in fact, when I stay for a week without a visitor, I'm like, no, something is wrong somewhere. And I can even call some of the people, why is it that you've come, you've stayed for long without visiting? Come, I'll prepare for you chapati. And they will come. So it has been quite a challenge, but it is okay. I've learned to live with it, and I'm good.
And you guys are youth pastors, right? One, I know you're young,
Right.
so you're youth pastors, and the area is full of students.
Yes.
So what is that one thing that drives you towards ministering to the youths, Pastor James?
Right. If you look at what the wisest man on the face of the earth says, I refer a lot to Solomon because there was a reason as to why God made him the wisest of all. He has written to us very clear instructions, especially to the young people, and he has said that remember the Lord your God in the days of your youth, because most of these young people are during their formative stages. Now, it is very interesting that 90% of people who are like strong Christians right now, the formation of their spiritual base was when they were young. So that is what God has called us to do. To get these people when they are in their college and formative years, have them get to know the Lord, and then they grow up with that discipline. And when they grow up getting to know God and walking in His ways, the highest probability is that even when they are old, they will still continue serving the Lord. So, and it is always a joy to get to see some of these young people denying themselves the pleasures that are there in the world, what the world has to offer. And they say, we do not want all those stuff. We want to stick with Jesus. So that has been our mission here, getting to bring these young people get to understand that this is in their formative years, they must get to know and to give God a place in their lives.
Beautiful. All right. So, as we come to the very end, is there? You guys have been married now? How many years?
Close to 9 years.
Close to 9 years.
Yeah.
If I may start with James,
Yes.
what is that one thing that you can say about your wife that has kept you with her, other than the vows? But there's that one thing, or maybe two, that has kept you bonded to this particular woman all this time.
Right. I actually have many, but I would sum up and say that Mercy is a good person. Mercy is genuine. She's honest, and she's also a loving person. I also like the aspect that she has of wisdom, because she really advises me on the issues, either personal or even in the ministry. And if I was to pinpoint, is that we are good friends. Our friendship means a lot to us. And one of the things that another thing that I would also say is that we do not live fake lives. We are so genuine with each other, And also the aspect of the commitment is that, you know, she knows that I'm committed to her and that I will not do anything that will be malicious to her. So those are some of the aspects that I would really say about her. She's also, you know, a very good cook. She's clean. I mean, she organizes our house. She's a good mother. Many things. In fact, I always refer to a scripture in the book of Proverbs that says that many women can make good wives, but she's the best of them all. God has many good wives there, or other people's wives out there. But I think in my world, where we are with our boys, Mercy is the best of them all. So in her, I found a friend. And in fact, if I was to get married again and again, I would still choose the same person. I'm not ashamed to call her a friend. Right.
Wonderful. Hey, Mercy, that's quite something. Yeah. And for you, what is that one thing that has held you and will keep you bonded to James?
Yeah, he's actually my best friend. When I want to share something with a friend, he's normally the first one, the very first one. And you know, like he said in 2014, he learned to do things for me. To date, he goes to the market more than I do. You find that, like, going for the grocery for the week, most of the time, unless he's held up, he's the one who does it. And he's very supportive and very loving. He's a good father. Today, if you go to the house, if, for example, we go to the house, both of us together, all the boys will run to him. And I'm there, I can go to the kitchen, I do my stuff. Then you find, oh, Mom, how are you? But he's a good father. Like the young boys, when they wake up in the middle of the night, the first person they will call, Daddy. So he's just the best father to our children. And I thank God for him. He's our priest. He prays for us every day. When before we get out of the house in the evening, he does it faithfully. And he has been a great father. So far, a good friend, and I love him.
Wow, 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 wow.
Thank you. I love you.
Wow. Did I interrupt that moment?
No.
Okay, so your parting shot, Mercy, to the young girls that are out there. It was very clear that purity was a pivotal, if I may say so, a pivotal thing for you. So your word to young girls.
I would say to the young girls out there, if you get into a relationship, ensure that we walk in purity. That one I keep saying again and again. Walk in purity, because if, for example, your man comes to you, it doesn't matter, maybe you're not a virgin, but in that relationship, stay pure. That man will respect you, because he will know if you could wait for him, even if maybe he goes somewhere for work, he knows you will still wait for him. But if there is the issue of when there is no purity in your relationship, there'll be a lot of issues, a lot of mistrust, but it is good to always wait. And again, young girls, tafadhali, let us live for God. Let us live for God, because there is no any other way. That is the best solution, that is the best thing that we can do as young girls. And I know if we do that, our world will be a world with a difference. Thank you.
James, your parting shot to the young men.
All right. Wajamaa, mimi naweza waambia kitu moja, kwamba marriage ni kitu poa, na intention ya Mungu ilikuwa ni marriage ifanye kazi, na tukifanya marriage vile Mungu alikuwa ameintend, ni utakuta always ukifuata vile alisema kwa formula yake na guidelines zile amepatiana, itakuja kufanya kazi. So unakuwaga na challenges zile ambazo mtu huwa anakutana nazo, lakini wakati unaanguka kwa marriage, it is better to fall forward. Unaanguka si urudi nyuma, unaanguka ukisonga mbele. So mimi naweza waambia msiogope kuingia kwa institution inaitwa marriage. Make sure kwamba ujaenda tu umejiongoza kwa mtu. Acha Mungu akuongoze. Take time to develop friendship. Wacha ikuwe purpose yako kwa relationship. Sio kudate, kuhang out, kwenda tu sleepover na wasichana ama vijana. Ikuwe kwamba goal, wakati unafanya relationship zako, goal inakuwa ni the big picture. I want to get to know this person. Alafu finally, we first of all honor God. Then you honor your parents and also honor yourself. Kuna kajoy fulani huwa kanakuja when you do things the right way. Leo hatungekuwa tumekaa hapa tunamwambia kuhusu vile mtafanya relationship if first of all we had not honored God or ourselves or our parents. Kwa sababu when you walk in purity unakuanga na moral authority ya kuambia wengine kuhusu purity. Mimi ningewaambia saa hii dunia inafunza vitu mingi za relationship. Enda ujaribu, fanya hivi. Kitu cha kwanza ni kwamba wewe amua kuheshimu Mungu. Mungu akikuwa ako mbele, maandiko inasema the steps of a righteous man they are ordered by God. So Mungu atakuongoza na atakusaidia. So mimi naweza waambia when it is your time, come and join the big team. Marriage is something that is good and marriage works. So God bless you. It was good to have you. Thank you.
All right, and we have come to the end of today's episode. That was quite something. I'm so grateful that I got to hear your story and also learn from you, be encouraged by you guys. And it's a joy to see young people who are serving the Lord and their marriages are working. Right. It ain't easy in this day and time. So seeing you guys at the forefront, ministering and also leading in marriages, wow, I salute you, I salute you. And viewers, that is it from me today. Do continue, by the way, following us on our various platforms. I will keep reminding you of this. We are Jicho TV Kenya on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, as well as Instagram. I am your host, Viona Gethenji, and until next time, bye-bye.